All right. Hello, hello. We are back. I am going to open us up and read our description of all that we are, all that we do. And so, welcome to the Red Lip Chronicles, where brilliance meets boldness and creativity ignites transformation, embracing wholeness and our communities. So, the Red Lip Alchemy Chronicles is a sacred space where Black femmes, as African descended creatives, come together to connect, converse, and radiate brilliance. This podcast honors the divine within us, weaving African diasporic practices, indigenous traditions, ancestral veneration, and restorative rituals into a tapestry of personal and communal alchemy. Through bold storytelling, spiritual exploration, and collective wisdom, we celebrate the red lip as a symbol of rebellion, beauty, and sacred sisterhood. Join us on this journey to celebrate our power, honor our ancestors, and glow unapologetically. Black heart, star, red lips.
Every time we read it, I'm like, this is amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm so excited to start another week because we had some homework from last week, which might be a good starting point for us to get things open with. And then this week's rituals were very
Mm.
they were something for me this week. So I'm curious how it was for y'all too. But let's start with our homework, which was
So, first of all, why are you just looking directly at me? I know I don't even know where I am on your screen, but I feel like a little personal targeting, right?
maybe not, maybe not. Just trying to understand.
Why
Um,
don't you remind us of what our homework was, Ebony?
we had some sensual assignments. We had
Hmm.
some sensual assignments to give
What you like
ourselves
for this week? How was I supposed to?
one way or one sensual goal we were creating for ourselves.
It wasn't a sensual
It
goal.
wasn't a sensual goal,
It was a pleasure goal.
pleasure goal. Okay.
Synonyms.
Mhm.
Pleasure goal. Okay. So since somebody's looking right at me, my sister's looking at me too, but her look wasn't as targeted as your look. So what I made my assignment for my pleasure goal was one, self-pleasure. This is easy, low-hanging fruit. And then number two, well, I made three goals. So one was self-pleasure. Two was I love a book. I'm a bibliophile. So it was to like go through my books and see which one of my books can help me like figure out how to unlock pleasure. So I perused my books and picked out a book to start reading. And then I'm gonna start with pleasure activism so that I can, because I think that will kind of help tie into kind of where I am in this phase of my life. So I'm gonna be reading that. And then number three was to work on I was supposed to figure out how to mute my dings too.
Figure it out by Black History Month.
But number three was to start unpacking with my therapist what my resistance is kind of around pleasure. And so I was working on that today. I'm happy to share if y'all got an extra hour. So
In true overachiever fashion, was it three that we were or you just came up with three?
I just came up with three
Okay.
because I felt like self-pleasure that was like just kind of low-hanging fruit and if I so I just wanted to give myself some other goals because it was a lot of resistance coming up around it. So I was like, okay, like let's like figure out how to unpack what this resistance is. And so bibliotherapy is always helpful and effective for me. And I actually have a therapist now. So it's like, some things are coming up. So let's work through things that are coming up so that we can get to a better place of activating my pleasure.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're breezing by the like, oh, self-pleasure is low-hanging fruit and easy part because that's not necessarily easy for some people. So I think in marking your own progress towards your own sensuality, sexuality, pleasure goals, I think it's important to acknowledge like that the self-pleasure part for some there's a lot of kind of resistance to even that. So I want to just celebrate and acknowledge like that self-pleasure for you feels like low-hanging fruit is a big deal. It's a big deal.
I was gonna say that because my low hanging your low hanging fruit is my high hanging fruit. Just in the sense that that was my goal. My goal was exactly that, because I'm finding that there is always someone in my space.
Yeah.
So self-pleasure has not been something I've been able to achieve as frequently as I used to. And so this week I was like, where will I be by myself? Because even when I go to San Diego, my daughter stays in the hotel room with me, right? And so there's very little evenings or nights alone. And so when I went to Berkeley this week in my hotel, my little Rose came with me. I said, oh, nobody can pleasure me like me. Jesus.
Listen.
I used my Rose this week too.
An orgasm was had.
We need to work on these sponsorships.
Listen, right, right. Because I went to bed very happy with myself, me, myself, and I. And so I was like, okay.
You and your Rose. It was a fourth.
Yes, okay, there was. Gotta give credit.
Credit where credit is due.
Yes. Gotta give credit to that Rose. So yeah, I was like, man, I realized I'm not, that's something that's an area for me that I want to maintain. I don't want to lose that in partnership and family dynamics and all the other things. So that's me.
Can we also pause there? Because I think so often people are like, society pressures us like you always need and want somebody around. And I'm team solitude, even though, notwithstanding some of my life choices that have hindered that a bit. But I think it's important to also like acknowledge and celebrate how important solitude is for things like self-pleasure and other kinds of things. And like, that you are being really intentional about like, okay, how can I get this space of solitude where I can like be with myself, pleasure myself, remind myself that nobody can do it like I do it. So I appreciate you bringing that forward as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because I definitely Ryan was going to join on the Oakland Bay Area trip. He was like, "Well, I'll just work and come along." And I was like,
No,
actually, this alone time. So yeah, it was important.
Those are all the orgasms that were had.
Oh yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so for
they
me,
can do little squirts. Like the little rainfall.
Stop it. You probably can. We'll figure that out.
Yes,
why you talk, Trina.
What about you, Dr. K?
So Professor K is in the building.
Professor K.
I definitely got some self-pleasure in, and also just listening to my body and resting. Like I came to Savannah in part to get red lip, in part to get away from the cold, but the cold has come here. My 13-year-old, I said, has strong manifestation power, because the 13-year-old was like, I miss the snow. I want to see snow. And I'm like, well, dang, you done manifested snow. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Manifested snow and cold, not only for Savannah, but all the way to Texas. I'm like, you might need to tweak the spell a little bit, because I don't think they wanted snow in Texas and Louisiana.
Portland's did not want that snow. Texas ain't want that snow. The rest of Georgia.
This has been cold. So I've been in the house. I haven't really gone out the house at all this week since Monday. Like we went out for some MLK parade stuff on Monday, and then we've been in the house all week. So I've just been like bundled up in my bed as long as possible in the morning, just honoring that like hibernation mode. And so that has been very pleasurable for me. And not having to, do any drop off or pick up for school, because school was out all week this week. So that also gave me some extended time to just kind of rest and relax in the bed in the morning until I was ready to get up and stuff like that. So yeah.
Nice.
Yay to solitude as pleasure.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I did my homework.
Yay. Got the book. I probably need an update on the pleasure activism. I think I saw that at your house a while ago.
Have you read it already?
I have not. So I'm curious what you think.
I'll let you know.
All right. Well, we are moving into the second ritual, which I'm going to move out of my Oh, I did. I saved the page. I'm like, where? I started marking my little pages up. So I was like, okay, let me get to the right one. So I'm gonna go with my, oh, look, can you see this? It says click, press all. Okay, nope, that's just me on my end. Ignore me. This ritual center Mawu-Lisa. Is that how y'all said it in y'all heads, or is that just me? Okay, I'm just making sure. Who is the twins born of Nana Buluku. And so uh, I appreciated the feminine, masculine energies and how we can embrace both. I thought it was interesting just around how there was kind of a maybe an assumption that most of the time we're embracing our masculine energy and that we need to lean towards more of our feminine energy. And I probably have some feelings around that we may be able to come back to. But there was some honoring, some opportunities for honoring. So I just want to open up the floor for us to talk about how that homework went for you in your altar spaces, and also the 28 um, challenges or issues that you were able to, or if you were able to put into your fishbowl.
Well, I think before, like, let's talk about this masculine feminine and what society tells us as, what do we call ourselves? Black femmes of what is
The African diaspora.
yeah.
Yeah.
How so often when we do tap into that masculine side, then it is viewed as us emasculating men, as opposed to embracing our duality. So what you want to share more about what some of your feelings are about that, Flo?
Yeah, I think I consider myself a femme with high masculine energy, and I embrace the all. So I embrace that, and I don't feel like there's anything wrong with embracing both or all or one or the other in whatever spaces we're in. Um, I feel like sometimes different spaces bring that out, but I don't think that if I'm leaning into embracing more masculine energy, as you said, Tiffany, it's not to emasculate anyone else. It's just a part of who I am. And I don't think that I think at times or historically, maybe my environment may have cultivated it in different ways, but I also appreciate all of it. And I think it's very layered and complex in the sense that it would probably be 3 hours of unpacking those things and folks along the button, binary and non-binary and how gender expression can really feel oppressive at times.
I would say for me, one of the things that I really wanted to tap into, and I think I do this already, but it's just like, how can I be more intentional about this? The energy of receiving, right? Like a lot of times so women, so I don't even want to talk about what a divine masculine or divine feminine energy is. I mean, we can get into that, but socially, I think we tend to be socialized toward giving and not receiving, toward martyrdom, toward like giving till it hurts, sacrificing all the things. And so I think it is important to be attuned to receptivity in receiving and not always giving. And I don't think it needs to be one or the other, but I think a lot of times we're socialized to err on the side of giving till it hurts and not being in a place of receiving and being receptive of the blessings and the abundance and the overflow and, the ease, because, I'm all about the ease part of it as well. So I really love the emphasis on receiving. And I like some of the prompts that I did some journaling around as well. Like, what were some of the questions? What are you doing to sabotage what you claim you want, to block your gifts and or to receive your gifts? So I thought that was a powerful prompt to reflect on, like, okay, where is the self-sabotage happening? Where is the blocking happening? What are perhaps some limiting beliefs that are preventing me from receiving things that I believe are like divinely mine and things like that? So I thought that was a helpful prompt for me to just reflect on those areas for me.
It's interesting as you talk about the receiving part, because that's one of the things that I was talking about in therapy today, like around the whole like pleasure issue and thinking about how it can come into not only romantic relationships, but in your friendships as well. And so was doing reflecting on some of my friends, including you two who are on here, who I am fortunate that I think, you know, I am in a helping profession and I am naturally a giver. But I'm glad that I have been able to surround myself with other people who are also givers. And so as I am continuing to work on doing better about pouring into myself and not just pouring into others, the gratitude that I've surrounded myself with people who are also pouring in. So as I'm pouring into them, then they're pouring into me. And so just gratitude for reciprocal relationships where it's not just always one person giving or one person taking, but you know, some reciprocity in friendship. So that definitely came up for me. When it comes to the journal question, so I was thinking a lot about that. And Professor K, we actually talked about this off camera afterwards and not on camera. But you know, Ebony and I have talked about this, and you and I talked about this around gifts. And so I think that I have some supernatural gifts that I have been scared of. And so I'll share the story of this was like, you know, kind of during one of the earlier parts of the pandemic. One of the ways that I was kind of trying to manage my pre-traumatic stress disorder of like all the anticipation of what might happen as I was working as a frontline provider in the pandemic. I was like leaning into doing restorative yoga practices at night. And I'm someone who my brain is always constantly going, and it's really hard for me to turn my brain off. And so restorative yoga was a really good way of me, like when I was wearing my fitness devices, my heart rate would go down to the 50s, and it would really kind of help me to set myself up for more restorative sleep at night. And one night I was doing restorative yoga. I was in my meditation room where my altar is. I had the lights off in that room, but I had the hallway light on. And at the end of the session, I was in Savasana. And then when I opened my eyes, I saw a spirit stand up from the bed and walk out of the room. And I'm a scaredy cat. And so I know my house is currently haunted by my grandmother, the original Catherine Bell. But she and I have an agreement, and the agreement is this is your house, right? And you have a job, like you got to earn your keep here too. And part of your job is protecting the energy of the space. So if any other spirits try to come up in here, what you gonna do with these California? Like you're a New Yorker, like you're not gonna let these California ghosts run this house. This is your house now, and I need you to protect it. The other agreement is I'm a scaredy cat, and you can live here and do whatever you want to do, but I don't want to ever see you. So I don't know who it was that I saw. I don't think it was her. I think it might have been one of my aunts who passed away. But I was like a little bit scared and nervous about it. And so I haven't been doing restorative yoga. And I think one of the insights that I've gained is that like I was afraid of that power that I was tapping into. And now as I'm like tapping into my Afro maximalist magic, it's like you are magic. Like you have magical powers. Stop pretending that you don't. And how do I like just embrace it and tap into it and cultivate it instead of running away from it? So that is what I've been reflecting on this week in terms of what I'm doing to block my gifts. And so a part of that is like not tapping into my pleasure, not tapping into my restorative powers, because I recognize that when I tap into that, then something crazy, not crazy, but something supernatural gets unlocked. And I've been afraid of that. And so I think that's been a part of the thing that's been keeping me from engaging in these practices that are so restorative and that are so healing. And so how can I, as we unlock our inner goddess glow, just lean into that and like just embrace all that comes along with it.
And have you come up with any answers to the how can I do that, or what might that look like for you now? So it doesn't mean you have to go from 0 to 100, but what does maybe easing into that look like for you?
So I
Also,
started
you are the
easing.
Afro maximalist, so you might want to
I
not
know
me
I
diving.
tend to be 0 to 100, but I decided not to do that. So the easing in was, instead of doing like a full, 40-minute restorative yoga, right, is just starting with 5 minutes at a time and one pose at a time. Like, so just do one pose and hold that pose for 5 minutes and see how it feels. And so I've been doing that this week. And then how can I build on it and then do two poses and 10 minutes and then three poses in 30 minutes, so that I don't have to feel like I'm just like jumping into it. Because I think jumping into it, when I have tried to just jump back into doing like full classes, I'm like, my head is on a swivel. I'm like, who's showing up? Who's in here? So trying to let myself ease into it more as I kind of embrace this energy. So I started like just one pose at a time, 5 minutes at a time this week, and I'll build on that next week.
Love it.
I love that. I love that. I think for me, my block and what was getting in the way was not having the consistency in my practice. So even just this past 2 weeks of diving into this, even just those two brief rituals, I found myself taking more frequent pauses through the day. I was on my flight, and I went back and I reread. And I, just paused and put my hand on my chest, one hand on my belly, and just held some time, for more reflection. And I think it's like, it's me. I'm getting in my way. I'm the problem. Um, and it's
Oh,
because
from inside the house. Mhm.
life be life and it's and so it's easy to then find some of these important practices, like, oh, I got that down, and it's like, I got that down, I know it, but if I'm not practicing it, I mean, it's no better than not knowing it if it's not being put into use. And so I'm just really focusing on that as a matter of practice for myself.
One of the ways that I noticed that I'm self-sabotaging is wasting time on social media with like the scrolling. And so I decided to take like a pause from social media where I'm like, okay, I can focus on the things like I need the system. Like my business right now is very vibes. Which works to a point, but like I want to get some systems in place again for more ease, so I'm not like redoing the same thing over and over again. So me not being distracted by social media has meant that I can like focus on like what systems do I need to get in place and how can I start getting them in place. So that's been a good thing for me. And then also looking at a scheduler, like a social media scheduler, so that I can like schedule and put up content that doesn't require me like actively being on the thing while I'm doing it and then getting sucked into like the scrolling part of it. Because I find like I feel very centered and at ease and connected to spirit in terms of like where I am and how, and even how where we are as a community and how we're moving forward. And I get pulled out of that when I see everybody else stressing out and super anxious and falling apart over every little thing. And not to invalidate anybody's feelings about the stuff that's going on, but it's like I can't get sucked into somebody else's anxious energy when I know like my connection is like, we been all right, we gonna be all right. We got us. So that's been it's been good. So I stopped like Wednesday, I think is when I got off of social media and I literally like logged off of it. And what's interesting is I can see how habituated I am because like even when I see the icon on my phone, I'm inclined to hit it, but because I'm logged off, it's like just showing me the login page. So it's an opportunity to observe like how frequently that's like a kind of self-soothing distraction, whatever. So it's been good to like be off of it though for a couple of days. So I'm gonna stay off for like a full week to just kind of detox, decompress or whatever from it. And then in the meantime, like I said, just start still focusing on my systems and just scheduling stuff out so that I can get stuff out for the business purposes without getting sucked into like all the drama that's unfolding on the social media platforms.
But what have you replaced that with? Like when you go to log in and you're like, oh, I'm not supposed to
That
be
was
on.
my question. That was
I just turn off my phone and I'm like, I look at my planner, like, what am I supposed to be doing today? So I've
right.
gotten so much work done for La Bellevue Academy this week because it's just like I'm focusing in on like, okay, what am I offering? What are the like my integration? So like I have a platform that I offer my courses on, and then I'm switching platforms for my email server. Hold on, my thing is tripping. I'm switching platforms for my email server. So so I'm setting up the integrations. Like if somebody signs up for one of my courses, then there's something that automatically gets triggered in my email where they get like their welcome email. So I'm not like doing that every single time. There's something like already set up because I'm saying the same thing every time. So it's like I can automate those systems. So I've been getting that started. And then also just like because I'm leaving one platform, I need to actually download the emails from that platform so I don't lose them, so I can like archive them. So I've been going through like I used to do something called Monday Mentor where I'll send out like a Monday email every week. So I started like downloading those, and then I'll go through and do like my newsletters and like CBWP stuff. So yeah, it's like stuff that has been on my to-do list that I somehow could not get done because I didn't have time. Now I have time because I'm not scrolling, and I'm like, oh, I can do this task that I've been avoiding just because it's somewhat mundane, but it still needs to get done. And then also it's like it's mundane, but it isn't because I'm reading back through the stuff and I'm like, I have some really amazing stuff here. So it reminded me of like what I've already done that I can continue to use moving forward. So that's been good.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Yeah, I did the same in December, and I said, "Oh, look at all of this shit I got done this week." It
It's
ain't
like
make
all
no
the
damn
time,
sense.
so much
And
time.
I hid it. I looked it up, and you can hide the app, but I still did the
Mm,
same thing. I didn't see it, and I didn't get a chance to click on it, but I saw myself like move my screens over to where it's at, and then it was gone. It was because it was hidden. And I was like, I need to revisit that. I think I'm trying to strike the balance with having students who text me on Wednesday like, so is class happening because DEI got shut down? Or what does this mean to me
mm,
because I'm a young Black gay man and I don't know what that means? Like, I saw it, but I don't get it. Can you explain it
mm,
tomorrow in class? So I think there's some of that where I'm trying to figure out how to stay in touch. And it feels like social media could give me the quick and dirty versus having to scroll through Google searches. And so
mhm.
I think, I don't know, I got to find the balance, but I'm with you, Professor K. It's got to go in some form or fashion.
Yeah. I'm fortunate that because I'm new to social media, I like literally just joined IG this summer. And so far my content is mostly babies and kids doing shenanigans. And so
Your algorithm, yeah.
yeah, so my algorithm be algorithm. And so like when I go, like it helps to bring me a little bit of joy, but I'm not on there that much. But it is that balance of not necessarily because social media isn't really an issue for me, but just in general, I also am in a space where like the world is literally on fire, right? And there's so many things happening, but I'm okay. And so how do I stay informed about what's going on in the world, but not become consumed with everyone else's anxiety and stress that I'm not feeling, and not because I'm somebody who does like internalize, and I'm like an empath. And so how do I not like take on other people's energy? It's a tough balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about these altars and these goddess womb bowls.
Mm.
Do y'all have altars already? Did y'all already have altars set up? Okay.
Mm.
So I had an altar, well, I had a couple altars in Pennsylvania, and I realized like and I do still have like two here, but I realized like a lot of and this is like a metaphor too, like a lot of the content of my altar, especially like my yoni stuff, was still in a box. I'm like, I need to unbox the yoni, like get the yoni out the box. So this was an opportunity for me to like unpack some of that stuff. Well, for me to look at
Literally,
like
literally unpack the stuff
unpack.
and physically unpack. Yeah.
Get the
Spread,
yoni
spread
out the
my,
box.
get
I'm
the
gonna use
yoni out
that
the
for
box.
all of this evening.
Yes, yes. So I had so I got the box that has some of the yoni stuff in it. So basically where my altars are set up now, I have like underneath my like the bottom part of my nightstand next to my bed, and then I have a fireplace with a mantle. And
Mhm.
so I was able to kind of like clear that off and make sure that I had like some of all of the elements there, and then just pull some other stuff out. And then I had two boxes in my room that actually just had a bunch of journals in them. But anyway, so I say that to say this exercise helped me to like get again to some stuff that I've been putting off for a long time. So like unpack two boxes that have been sitting in my room for months, and started looking through the box of stuff from my altar in Pennsylvania to see what I can unpack now. Like I don't like the space that I have right now is not big enough for everything that's in that box. So I still need to think about like mini altars where I can like set up some different things. I like the idea of different altars with different themes as well. So I'm thinking through that. But for now, it was good to just kind of bring my attention back to the altar spaces that I have and just, you know, be more attentive to them with the exercise that we were given. And I love the womb bowl one. So I love this idea of, and I changed. So at first I was like, oh, I have this beautiful like beaded bowl that I got from South Africa, but I realized it's very porous, right? Like it has an empty bottom, you know, so it's not like a container. And so initially I was going to use that because I'm like, oh, it's beautiful. But I'm like, no, I need this to be like a container for the things, right? Not where things can be like leaking out and dripping out and floating all over the place. Like I need this container to be containing some things until they are like, you know, until spirit does what spirit needs to do with it. So I ended up switching over to more of a fishbowl situation, which was recommended. And I just love this idea of like writing it down and handing it over and like just having this container for it and then, you know, revisiting what's in there as things are addressed, as prayers are answered, as things, you know, are taken care of, you know, burning it or disposing of it in any way. So I really like the idea of the exercise, and it was helpful to, you know, get some things out of my head and be like, okay, universe, okay, spirit, okay, goddesses, okay, ancestors, like I release this to you.
I also, yes, have altars. And so my main altar though is in a room where I was seeing them spirits. And so I have not been attending to my altar. So it was all dusty. And, you know, I even have like, you know, like cups where I was like putting water for my ancestors to drink from, and they all dried up. And so this was a good invitation that, like kind of similar to what you were talking about in the beginning, it's not just enough to like know the stuff, but if you're not actually practicing it on a regular basis, then how is it impacting your life? So it was a good opportunity for me to like just get back in touch with like, you know, what the altar is and what it means. And I also, you know, being a maximalist, like the idea of having multiple altars. So that meditation room I had, well, so I have like a kind of like a old like bookcase that is like a main altar. I also set up like a little box with crystals that was like my self-love altar. And it's like in front of a mirror, so I can like sit there and look at myself in the mirror and practice self-love, which I haven't been doing because I don't even be going in that room. And then in that room, I have like Oshun near the self-love altar, and then I also have Yemaya in there. But like my for real Orisha is Oya, and I read that they're not supposed to be in the same room with each other, so and there's like different reasons why people say it, but so I have a picture of Oya that I got in Cuba, and she is in my foyer. And so I was like, oh, how can I like better set up like an, you know, an altar in a space for Oya? Because especially I think I am in the phase where, and well, Oya be trying to do this to me all the time, but it's like, how do I send the winds and the storms of transformation to help you release the things that no longer serve you? So I think when it came to this practice in particular, tapping into that is important for me. So clearing off the old altars and dusting them off and like giving them the attention that they need. But then also where I have Oya, I have a like I call it my dowry chest, but it basically just had like a bunch of stuff piled on top of it and dumped on top of it and a lot of clutter. So I got a children's tree bookshelf that I put together and you know, put different books and my different like, you know, African figures and things and some of my Barbies on. But so I'm like, oh, this can also be Oya's altar. And so that is where I want to put my bowl of things that I want to release, because I think she is the best goddess to help me release some of those things. So the bowl that I decided to use is I'm with you, Trina. Like I'm pretty good at compartmentalizing. So I wanted something that can help me compartmentalize. So I want to be able to like seal it shut and not have to deal with it. So this is one of my favorite artists these days, Paul Lewin. And so I have some of his prints, but he also does like different boxes. And so I have like a square box, but then I also have like this round one. It has hummingbirds on it, which are one of my spirit animals, and this amazing African woman goddess on it. So this is what I'm going to be using to for all of the things that I'm going to like work on releasing, and I'm going to put her by Oya so she can help me out with it.
I love that the colors of the lens of the glasses match your glasses, but the roundness matches your other glasses that you just
I
got.
literally almost put them on, and I have another one, and I didn't realize until after I got the glasses when I came home and looked at the artwork, and I'm
You're
like,
like, that's what this is about. Yeah.
no wonder, no wonder. So yeah, so I'll put those on for you guys next week maybe, so you can. But I got some big giant glasses like this, ebony. They're black though. So yeah, so that's how my rituals went this week.
Yeah. Well, I have mine set up in my room or my bedroom, and same as you, Tiff. I have a mirror that's up for reflection. But things have been moved around, and I realized like one of my goddesses, Sekhmet, was like in my office space, and so I moved that back, and that's goddess of war and healing from like Egyptian from Egypt. And I got it there when I was there, and so I feel really connected to that. And I thought, oh, as I'm thinking about my bowl, I need the war, like to get to push through some of these, and then I also need the healing that also comes from, either healing relationships or healing myself as well. And so I'm looking forward to spending a bit more time than I have been at my altar, and re-energized it with some cloth, which I did not have before, and added some new crystals. So that was nice.
I love it. Well, shout out to us for being so dope and for doing all of our altars and all of the things.
Yes, and all of the homeworks.
Mm-hmm. I like homework. You give me a box, I will check it.
Listen, same.
High achievers.
I do have my cards this week. I found them after, of course, after I brought the wrong Amazon box up, and then, of course, as I was opening the other boxes,
Yeah,
we won't shout them out. I'll find a way to redact my
exactly.
supportive.
But last week's cards were, so I put mine up in my kitchen in front of one of my planters because I walk by it every day, like I'm in my kitchen every day, and so it was a good space for me to just like walk by it and stop and think about how to tap into like not just the card I pulled for myself, but also like our collective cards and how they resonate with me in different ways. So it was good.
I put mine in my kitchen too. And what was really good about it was this weekend I was getting some work done on my closets, and the woman was there, asked about the cards, and then we ended up pulling one for her and then pulled one for another family member. And so it was nice to then for that to extend past just this space. So do we want to pull now, or do we want to?
No time better than the present.
You get to pull your card this time, Ebony.
I know, because
Yes.
I pulled
Yes.
the cards for me last time. So
I'm still trying to figure out this grieving. I really used some time to meditate as well. I was like, what?
it might have been for me.
What am I supposed to? What?
Yeah. All right. And then Ebony, I guess since you're leading today, you can pull the community card too. The card for
Okay.
everybody in the world. One already trying to jump out at me. So
What's jumping out?
Sarah Lakali, who is divine lineage. So let me look that up and see what Sarah trying to tell me. So she's number 6.
Number 6.
Oh, that's why, because I'm on page 6, not number 6. I'm like, that's not who is there. All right, so Sarah Lakali, goddess of divine lineage. She is Romani Egyptian. She's in the temple of the ancestors, and her element is water. Great ancestress Sarah Lakali, meaning Sarah the Black, was an Egyptian prophetess and a patron saint of the Romani people. Oral history says Santa Sarah had the highest divine lineage. So her guidance is that your ancestors protect the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is you. Divine ones walk beside and within you. Trust. That reminds me of your youngest, who's like,
Trust.
Embodiment. Your ancestors want to remind you that you are not alone. They are rooting for you. They ask you to honor your spirit guide and call upon the power of the divine. Create or nourish your ancestral altar or shrine. That's so funny because we were just like talking about this
Right.
and how I have not been given the ancestors the respect that they deserve. So unbury your ancestors, speak their names. Your divine lineage ancestors may be blood related or culturally or spiritually connected. The goddess declaration is, I am my sister and my sister is me.
I love that.
So I love it. I think it resonates with the practice that we started like for this week, and is just kind of helping to reinforce that. And my altars definitely, do have pictures of the ancestors and tributes to the ancestors, and I try to give gifts and leave things for them. And so this is good reinforcement for me to continue to lean into that. And to know that, like, as I'm on my healing journey, that I am never alone and that these ancestors are rooting for me and walking with me. And how do I tap into, like, let them hold me up and strengthen me in everything that I do. So I love it.
Professor K, can I see the box that you have your is mine different? Definitely.
I think
Okay.
you have an updated copy.
Have the secrets of the ancestors. Okay, I'm just making sure. That's what I thought.
Oh, it's two different ones. So I do have the secrets of the ancestors too. But there's an African goddess rising to go along with the book. So you got the ancestors ones and not the goddess rising, or you got both?
I have this one here, and I'm sure there's another one because I did order two, and it's in another box. Well, I'll pull from this one today.
I did
Told
get
you by Black History Month, I'm gonna have it together too, just
the
like y'all.
I did get the secrets of the ancestors. I haven't been using it yet, but as a part of, like, I've always felt like very connected with ancestors. Again, both those that I'm related to and those that I'm not related to. And so I got that deck to help me as I am like on my journey. So so we'll be doing some work with that too.
Okay, sounds
Mhm.
good. Professor K, you want to go next? You're muted.
Okay, I pulled Jumbi masks.
Mm.
What
So
number
this
is
is
she?
number 18. So Temple of Shadows, Jumbi, Shadow of Masks, Caribbean, Temple Shadows, Element Air. Jumbis are the scary, shadowy, otherworldly spirits and monsters of the Caribbean. Jumbi's shadow guidance. Where is the lie? Get quiet to get clear. Put your hand on your heart. Now, are you confused or are you afraid? Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. Embodiment. Show your true face. Wearing a mask blocks your vulnerability and blessings. If you are wearing a mask, dare to reveal yourself. You are lying to others and to yourself. Wearing a mask is exhausting. Be you. If someone else is wearing a mask with you, you deserve clarity. Your relationship and connection is built on lies. Their mask is a projection of your own. That's interesting. Goddess declaration, I am willing to remove the mask. So this for me, what is bringing up for me is like, I really do need to be I've been doing more Substack things because my preferred medium is writing, but I'm also supposed to be doing corresponding YouTube videos. So I think this is about me showing up as my true self with the video stuff that I am supposed to be doing, but I have been kind of putting off a little bit. So this is a reminder to like return to that and show up as my true authentic self, in all spaces. But I think that that is the space that I've been kind of avoiding. I'm like, oh, I need to get to this thing and I'm not getting to this thing. So I think this is a nudge to get to that thing.
Literally show the world your face.
Right.
Yes. Yes. Why do you think you haven't been getting to the thing?
I think I'm overthinking it. I think there's an ease that comes. Like I think there's something different about YouTube even than IG Live, like, and or it's also just the familiarity of it, right? Like so IG Live I'm more comfortable getting on, but it's just because I've been doing that longer. YouTube is not like I'm trying to do any editing or anything like that. I'm going to get on, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and I'm going to keep it moving. So I think it's just a matter of like overthinking it and like needing to put it in my schedule to like, this is the day that I do that thing and put it out there. I mean, I've put several, I think I have like maybe 9 or 10 videos out there so far, but like I take a break and then it ends up being like an extended break. So I just need to get back into like a rhythm with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. But I do feel comfortable. I will say I feel comfortable showing up as my whole self in those
Hmm.
spaces, like both in person, interpersonally, as well as like in my social media presence. So that is a thing that I am aware that I'm more comfortable with, right? So although I don't know that I was ever, well, I do know there was a time when I was not comfortable. There was a time when I felt much more compartmentalized, and now I've like liberated myself from the institutional bondage that had me feeling that I needed to compartmentalize, right? And so that is good, right? Like I'm not worried about a university seeing something and feeling some kind of, you know what I mean? It's just like I said what I said, because who's gonna check me? Because I am the business, you know what I mean? So that is so that is that is good. So yeah. Yeah.
Love
And then
that.
even as I'm thinking about like, or as I'm embarking on the Professor K journey, I have been reminding myself like that I am Professor K, period, right? Like I don't need to adopt or appropriate somebody else's persona, right? Like
Mhm.
I am the femdom that I am, and people will be attracted to who that is. So just reminding myself like not to fall into this like, okay, well, I know these other doms, right? But they all do their thing that and my thing is different. So I think this is like as I'm entering into that space, it's good to remind myself to not wear the mask, but like really be my true authentic self. And that is what will attract.
Mhm. Mhm. As you were reading a part about if someone else is wearing a mask with you, you deserve clarity. Your relationship and connection is built on lies. The mask is a protection, a projection of your own. I was thinking about your one of your institutions that you quit, which is the institution of marriage, right? And the mask that was being worn with that, and how that might have been a projection of like at the time that you got married, some of the constructs around like church and religion and the things that you were caught up in. So I do think that you liberating yourself from that marriage was a way for you to like not only disconnect yourself from that mask to be in, but also like I think that was a part of the beginning of your journey of taking your mask off and saying,
Absolutely. So I often say like my three great institutional like disillusionments and liberations were the Black church, marriage, in the academy, the university, right? And so like I left the Black church probably at age like 30 when I really like saw behind the veil and just how corrupt and problematic those systems were. And then marriage when I was like maybe 36, I think it's like 2017. And I do often say like my erotic empowerment journey is directly connected to my happily unmarried journey, right? And so and also it's connected to the church stuff, right? So part of the reason I felt so erotically disempowered was being raised in the church and all of the constructions of like virginity and purity and all of this other kind of stuff in marriage and all kinds of things. And so like I think that was a great order to go in. I often say like the hardest one to leave was actually academia because that was one that paid me. The other two cost me money. Right? So I wasn't, there was like, I wasn't leaving no money on, I was getting more money leaving the other two institutions, whereas with the academy, it was like, oh, this is kind of nice though. Like this check is really nice. So yeah, definitely my erotic empowerment, like liberating myself from the institution of marriage. And even as I said, when I did the initial introduction, right, like I did all the things Black women are told we're supposed to do, right? Like I was in the church, I got married. I had the kids in the context of the marriage. I was like paying the tithes and offerings when I was in the church. I got all the degrees. I had all of the certifications. And it's like I had all of this stuff and I still felt very trapped. I felt overwhelmed. I felt unhappy. And it was just like, okay, like I did everything I was told I was supposed to do. And this don't feel like what it's supposed to feel like. And so it helped me to just start peel back all the layers of that and the lies of that and really connect to, who am I really? And it was very an existential experience of like, who am I outside of the label of wife, the label of mother, the label of, academic or professor, right? And so I'm kind of like, even in calling myself Professor K is kind of a reappropriation of that term outside of the confines of the university. So yeah, so that definitely has been a beautiful empowering unmasking that doesn't, it's one of those things where I think sometimes we anticipate something's going to hurt or be harder than it is. And then you do it and you're like, well, dang, I wish I had done that way sooner. But you're
Word.
ready when you're ready. But it's like, man, I could have done like I could have been living a much more liberated, erotically empowered life way sooner. But again, you're ready when you're ready. So I think, things happen as they needed to happen. But I definitely feel like I'm in a place where like I don't feel like there's any place in my life or any area in my life where I still need to be masked. I think even with the motherhood thing, I've been very explicit about where I am with that as well, like both with my kids as well as, to anybody who will listen. So I think even that, I'm like, did I tell you about this trap called motherhood?
It's a trap.
Don't do it.
Don't
Reconsider.
do it. Yes.
So I
Uh,
think even with that, and I don't feel any kind of way about that. And I think that, and that's not like I just woke up like that. Of course I have the full support system. So I've had multiple therapists, coaches, energy workers, all the things to get to a place where I can like be comfortable with like who I am and then be comfortable also like expressing that and articulating it and not really caring one way or another what other people feel or think about that. But that wasn't like I just woke up like that. It's like, I've just done a lot of processing and talking through a lot of that stuff and getting to a place where I just really do trust my feelings, both emotional and physiological, right? Like, so if something just doesn't feel right in my body, it's not right, and I don't need to override that. Or if something feels really good in my body, like it's good, and then I need to flow with that. And that's not only sexually, that's like financially, that's like the choices that I make in terms of my business and what I offer. That's, how I mother, right? Like who's in my house or who's not in my house, right? And so I mean, because it's just like, because there are times when I'm like, oh, justice and fairness, and I should do, and I'm like, but no, this is not feeling right with my spirit, so something got to change. And also, one of the things one of my therapists helped me with was like letting go of the God complex, right? Like where I'm the person who has to make sure that everybody is okay and protected and get what they need. And so sometimes when you're trying to do all of that work, you're preventing them from doing the work that they need to do. And so every time that I've been able to be really decisive about what I want and need, everything else falls into place, right? Like, so even like moving here, when I decided like I'm quitting this job, I'm moving to Savannah, like then my eldest like got his apartment, moved out, right? Like it was like once I signaled like this is happening, then the adjustment was made. And then like my second born, once I had the conversations that needed to be had there, like last time I talked to my second born, very much enjoying like the new situation. And I'm like, that would have, if I had just continued to allow what was happening, that would have prevented her from stepping into this thing that she's getting that she needs right now. Then it doesn't have to be me that provides all the things. So that's been really powerful. Like it's just one of those things to remind myself constantly of like, just trust how I'm feeling and don't try to override it or accommodate other people's whatever. It doesn't mean you got to bulldoze over other people, but generally like, okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable with this because it needs to shift and change. So like, let's have the conversation and let the shift and change that needs to happen.
I love that of thinking about like the mask of motherhood that you put on, right? Of like, because you think this is the way mothers are supposed to show up and this is what they're supposed to do. And you're like, no, I'm gonna take this mask off and I'm gonna like be real about what I need and and how that has helped you out. So I love that. Take off that mother mask and just be the mother that you are and not the mother that society tells you you need to be.
Love it. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. Well, I'm there. I'm there. I'm there.
You're
The
doing
people around me are not there. However, yesterday while I was gone, my ex-husband did call my son and say, "Hey, you're coming and you're staying until Monday. So, bring your bag for the entire time. You're coming today. You don't go home. Do not collect $200. Do not pass go. Stay at my house. You will be here half the week." And so it's a little better than every other weekend. I'll take the start. I'll take the starting points. But
gonna be forward every week. We're gonna be doing half a week there and half a week with you.
That's the plan. Professor K, this was discussed a year ago.
It was. It was.
This is the first iteration of beginning it, even though it was supposed to happen a while ago. With the plan that it would transition to full time at the end of last year, and that did not happen. So we're gonna take the small steps that I can.
Congratulations.
Yay.
Yes.
And congratulations on actually getting support from the other side of the equation.
We'll see. We'll see how they do. We'll see how they do. Multiple conversations brought that support, but we got there. I'll take it.
Mm-hmm. I love it. All right. Well, you gonna pull an ancestor card for yourself in the ancestor?
Yes, I pulled one. I got to open up I pulled it, but I didn't return it. So I have
just so I can look mine up in my ancestor book and put them
yep,
on.
this is the secrets of the ancestors. I've got 23 roots of fire.
Mm-hmm.
So, or root of fire, risk it all.
Hey.
Yes, you can make it happen. It is safe for you to feel beyond your usual limits. Embrace your personal freedom and follow your passion. Be curious. If you are an advocate for social issues or an activist, let your voice be heard. You can make a difference. All root and plant spirits are messengers. The root of fire, also called the African dream root, is an indication to move ahead. This plant cester wants you to explore your passions with enthusiasm. I like plant cester.
Of course you do.
Plant cester.
Plant cester. Okay, so it says an ancestral memory is African dream root was instrumental in helping goddess warrior Queen Mother Nanny and the Maroons in Jamaica in their fight for liberation. African dream root is also used by the Xhosa people of South Africa for lucid dreaming and in spiritual initiations. Stop tiptoeing. Your ancestors were brave in ways that you cannot even imagine. Acknowledge their lessons of courage within your own journey.
Mm-hmm.
Shadow aspect. Your own thoughts and beliefs are holding you back. Are you feeling impatient? You may be easily swayed or deceived. Brace yourself for potential bad news. There is nothing you can't handle. My declaration is I'm passionate about my next steps.
I love it. I love it. So does that resonate with any next steps that you've been thinking about that you might have been being trepidatious about and you need to throw some fiery passion into?
Yeah, I think, me and Tiffany had talked about thinking about what wellness looks like in my community, what I want to shift or bring forward. And I think there's been times where I've thought about those things and they've just stayed in thought and not action and motion for whatever reasons, whether it's fear, busyness, whatever it is. And so I've been making commitment to put some very sacred time aside so that I can build those things. And then also the meditations that I've been doing every morning have just been like, this is who you are. This is like all these years of living and moving by fear or scarcity mindset. Like that's over, because every time you take these next risk, more abundance keeps flowing your way. So why are you hesitating? And so I'm appreciative of this card here and the plant cesters that will fuel me into these next steps.
I can't believe I was today years old when I heard the word plant cester, but
Listen,
I will hear it every time I talk to you now.
you 100% will. You can count on it. I'll be like, the plant cester said to move this way. The plant cester.
Your house is filled with plant cesters.
I know.
Listen,
All right,
I
I
have
pulled
no
another. Oh,
plants
yeah.
in my house because it's because they require care, and motherhood has taken all the care that I have. I used to
Mm,
have plants and they used to flourish, and I realized like I do not want to take care of another living thing. I'm sure it's a phase that
Mhm.
I will get past, but I'm like, I realized like, yeah, I have no plants in my house for that reason.
Well,
yeah.
it's interesting because for me, I am like Ebony is the plant goddess mother, right? But my plants are like I'm a ninja assassin, but my plants are also like canaries in a coal mine for me, right? So when I'm doing well, then that means I'm taking the time to like sleep and rest and nourish myself and move my body. And then I also am taking the time to take care of my plants. And when I'm not doing well, I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not taking care of my plants. I'm not taking care of anything else. So when I see my plants dying, then it is like a siren to me, like you about, bitch, you about to die too, right there, in the coal mine. So I got to keep the plants because otherwise I'm not going to know, and I'm just going to wither away and die too. But what I love about plants, so there's one that the one at the top of my stairs, um, it it was dead. Like all of the leaves were brown and fell off. And but I because I was in a place where I wasn't doing a thing, so then it was just dead sitting there. And but then as I was coming downstairs, like whatever water was left in my cup, I would just dump in there every day on my way downstairs. And now it's back alive and flourishing, right? And so it's a reminder of me of like no matter how many steps back I take on my journey of not doing the things that I need to do, like it's still time to course correct, right? And so so yeah, so my plants are my canaries in the coal mine. Thank you for your sacrifice, princesses.
Listen, I'm like, I have 4 humans that are out in the world that I
I
feel
feel it. That's
responsible.
real. That is very real. It's very
Yeah.
real.
Again, I think this is it's a moment. It's not forever, but I like this is me being honest about like literally. I'm like I don't want to take care of any other living beings,
Mhm.
Yeah.
not even plants. Definitely not pets.
Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely had a time when I bought my first house filled with plants, and then that just went away. And it's so funny as I started gathering more plants, I'm like, oh, I remember you. Like I remember you used to be on my kitchen sink, you know, and and so it's just like this remembering of taking care of things, but that don't talk to me. Um, or that they do talk to me, but in a different way than my children do that I appreciate. It's the same with you. You said no living, and no living anything being, but I do have a cat. And same thing. She does not. She's all that I need because she don't fool with me. She
Oh, tell the world your cat's name.
Hippolyta. Hippolyta.
I love Hippolyta.
Yes. All right. Well, I pulled this creature of water card 29 for
Mhm.
our community pulling.
Mhm.
I'll find that. And the creature of water is creative expression. Creative energy is all around you. Use your imagination to get unstuck. Follow your inspirations and allow your emotions to fuel your pursuits. Romantic or creative, your heart energy is blossoming. This is a time of heightened creativity with potential for breakthroughs. This idealistic and compassionate animal spirit ancestor coming forward can be a good thing if there is something or someone you've been waiting for. But moving too fast can lead to recklessness. Pace yourself. You are obsessed and seeking fulfillment. You have the potential to get sloppy. Hasty decision making can block your flow. The creature of water is the Khan animal spirit, the Sankofa heron bird. They come forward with the lucky energy of the Ghanaian goddess of the harvest, Ase Afua. I hope that's right. Sankofa means we must go back to get it. Sankofa here is the animal spirit that connects the past, present, and future. And the declaration is I am a creative force.
I love this. I feel like I love that all of the cards every week so far. This is only week 2, but all of the cards have been for me, and I love that. that I think and I hope you guys feel the same too, like, but I definitely feel like or maybe I'm just God's favorite, but I feel like I'm getting something from all of the cards that have been pulled. And so I'm looking forward to putting these on the altar and continuing to reflect on not just my personal card, but on all 4 of the cards for this week.
Mm-hmm.
I like to call my Sankofa, I like to call it look back at it, because that's what look back.
I love that there was the plant ancestor and the animal ancestor represented in the 2 cards you pulled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Wow. Well, all right.
It's a
Any
pleasure to see
last
that.
reflections?
I'm in a pretty good place. I feel like last week, there was something about forgiveness, or maybe I pulled a different card about forgiveness, and I was like, I'm in a pretty good place with things. And then I had a situation on Saturday where somebody was talking kind of crazy, and I was like, do I cuss them out, or do I just enjoy my good life choices and have some compassion for them because they've made terrible life choices and get my way anyway? And I decided to do the latter. I was like, I don't need to respond to this person's energy. Like they've made some bad life choices and they're unhappy, and that's being projected toward me. And I don't need to match that energy. So let me get what I need to get out of the situation and keep it moving. And so that is what I did. But I had a moment of like, okay, like, ancestors, are you trying to test me on the forgiveness and compassion?
Right.
Do you want Nana, aka Serena Nana, to come out right now?
Nana will come out and curse you out and put you on her prayer list at the same time.
Listen.
Because God
Okay.
don't look ugly and he ain't
Too fine to pretty too either. So yeah, that definitely was a moment. And then I was like, okay, I don't need to respond to this. Like,
Right.
I don't need to match the energy. So yeah, I definitely had a moment last weekend, but I like checked in and I was like, okay. And actually, this is a good thing about with the mask too, because I checked in like, okay, am I? And it's like, no, I actually don't need to respond to that. Like, I don't need to give away my power by responding to somebody else's pettiness. Let me just get what I need and keep it moving. So yeah, that's what happened last week. But I was definitely like, what is this process and these cards bringing up that came around. But yeah,
I love it.
other than that, it's been a good week. We've been chilling. Like I said, my youngest has been out of school all week, so I haven't had to do the usual back and forth. So that's been nice to just be in
Good
the house.
stuff.
Mm-hmm. How about y'all?
Love
Y'all had a
it.
pretty good week.
It's been good. I like the week before last was like just an emotionally really heavy week.
Mhm.
Because I was looking for a therapist. And so I did like 3 full-hour therapy sessions and it was just a lot to unpack. And so
Mhm.
going into having a long weekend for MLK weekend, it was a good time for me to just like listen to what my body needs and just kind of recognize that like that work therapy is work, right?
Yeah, that
And
can be exhausting.
it is work and it's exhausting. And so like to just rest. And so I've been like leaning into that. I didn't check today what my sleep was today, but the prior 7 days before this, I've been in the green zone every night with getting more restorative sleep. So not just like the number of hours of sleep, but the quality of my sleep has been really good.
Mhm.
And so I'm really proud of myself for focusing on that and for prioritizing it because like I've always had the sleep goals and haven't done as great with those. And like still just like working on the different kind of projects around my house and the ways in which they bring joy and healing to me. And so it's been a lot of, like I said, a lot of work, a lot of emotional work. I've been tired, but I'm feeling good about where it's leading and where it's going.
I love it.
How about you, Ebony? I know you said you were traveling this week.
Yeah, I'm just patiently waiting for January to
Over.
I'm
over.
like for January 2026 or for January.
Right.
Yeah, that's all I was
No.
checking. I'm like, are we? Are we speaking to the next year?
Right. Nope. I'm just speeding until the end of this month when some of the travel slows down. I think I'll be every other week traveling in not really, but for the most part, getting on a plane every other week in February versus every week in January. So I'm looking forward to and actually last night I went on my calendar and I just blocked off rest time, rest days, rest times, so that it can go uninterrupted. And the person who helps me with my calendar knows to not to fill that time. So that's my focus, is just continuing to focus on the rest.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, good to see y'all.
Yeah, good to see y'all. Don't forget your pleasure goals as we move into this next week.
So that we decided that's a weekly thing.
I think so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to change mine right now. I'm just, I just want us to keep it in mind as we, so
Stay
that it's
connected to the
there.
pleasure goals.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
it's helpful for me because I'm someone who needs a box to check. And so I won't
Mhm.
necessarily be thinking about it unless it's a homework assignment. So I think it is helpful for me to try to continue to like do that work of like unpacking my resistance to pleasure and experiencing pleasure and searching for pleasure and receiving pleasure. So
Yes. And then Professor K, your goal of getting your face on YouTube.
Yeah, so I will have at least one YouTube video up by the time we talk next week. I want to do one a week. So,
Okay.
and I have some I have some Substacks that I've done that I need to do the corresponding YouTube too. So I don't need to like come up with a whole thing. Like I have the thing. I just need to jump on here and do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my
We
kid
got
will be
some.
back in school next week. So I'll have a quiet, I mean, not that my kid's loud, but just, uninterrupted space and time. Yeah.
I
Okay,
love
Awesome.
it.
guys.
It's always good to see you ladies and your lovely red lips. And Ebony, I will see you in a couple of hours.
I will. Yay.
We're going to a
Yeah.
concert. We got a girls' night.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Have a wonderful time at the concert. Enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
All right.
see you next week.
See you
Instructions
next week.
get schmexy. So
Yes. All
um,
right, y'all.
Catherine Bell, the OG Catherine Bell, and she's going to help me tap into my schmexy energy.
Yes.
All right.
Well,
Love y'all.
love you.
Bye.
Bye.